Obviously a tough weekend for us. I thought we competed really well. All three games, the last game just kind of got out of hand quickly. But here's the thing, we just have to focus, kind of put our energy, regroup, and get ready for SEC conference tournament and then obviously postseason. So I think overall, you can look back, our conference, our conference kind of series overall, we did pretty good, throughout the year. We had, I would say, two of them that we probably were really close into getting at least one, if not two, on the road, and things didn't go our way. But good time for us to reset, regroup. Excited that we were still able to earn a top 3 seed in our conference, and then get ready for, I think we played the winner of Mississippi State and South Carolina. So 2 very familiar opponents since we played them both this year.
So what about you? I know you tinkered a little bit with your hitting lineup. It's not that you're not getting hits. It seems like maybe you're just not getting that 1 or 2 big hits, but yet you could say you had a home run off Wiggins. But it just seems you don't, right now, at certain times, you don't have that one more hit.
Yeah, we didn't execute in some critical situations. I agree with you. And sometimes that's the way it goes, So I'm tinkering a little bit to see if we can get timing. I thought that they were kind of pitching around Trent a little bit, so we moved her up in the lineup. We'll continue to tinker because I think we have a really good lineup, and it's just figuring out where our rhythm is right now and making sure that we're reflecting that in the lineup. Coco was out of this world this weekend, and her and I talked a little bit. I thought she did a much better job of using the ground. Speed has no off day, and so I think she did a really good job of using the ground, and getting herself on and being, electric on the bases. So I think, there's a lot of good pieces in the box. If I'm being very honest, I felt like pitching-wise, especially on game 2, we just, we had some bad innings, and that kind of put us behind the 8 ball. And we did a really good job of coming back, and we just didn't finish. Yeah.
What about, I was looking, you watch Kennedy, and I added up, you're the pitcher coach, in the last 29 innings to the third, she's walked 21, 17 hits, so still good numbers, but is she avoiding, is she being too fine, she doesn't want to get hurt, or just, where do you think she's at?
Yeah, I think she is very focused on placing the ball exactly right here, and that's some of our conversation. Her and I have just letting loose a little bit and trying not to kind of squeeze herself, and she's got really good stuff, and I think sometimes she puts a lot of pressure on herself, and so her and I, it's funny that you said this, we're fixing to have a little chat the next 24 hours of just like for her to reset, reload. I feel like she feels the pressure of kind of our season on her, and I want her to go out and just pitch her game because she's really good, and she is, a major reason as to why we are where we are today. And so for her to kind of free up a little bit, be that little kid that started playing softball, and just kind of pound the zone a little bit more, have, trust in her stuff.
Won both of the series against South Carolina and Mississippi State. Can you take any confidence from that, or do you think they're a little bit of different teams now heading into postseason?
Well, I think everybody is, to be honest with you, but absolutely, we can take confidence in it. I think we do much better with opponents that we're familiar with, and so obviously we played both of them. Both of them were tough games. I think Mississippi State's done a really good job of kind of continuing to get better. Same with South Carolina. And so, it's going to go back to us playing Aggie softball. We got to pitch well. We've been playing good defense, very clean defense, but we do. And then the other piece is, having those timely hits. So I think kind of the first and the last one, we could tidy up a little bit. And, like I said, Lefty has been in a lot of bad luck. We've put her in, I think there's been 4 games this year that we've put her in at the end of the game or extras, and she's actually gotten the loss, and she's only pitched like an inning or an inning and a half, and so that makes it a little bit tougher, but that's, kind of one of the, I would say, perks or responsibilities for being kind of that pitcher and a staff. So for me, I think it's just going back to like playing our game, executing. I think our short game, KP put down a really nice bunt this weekend, but continuing those pieces, that's what's going to really help us win, especially as we get going here in the conference tournament and in postseason, is being able to execute those little things.
Looking big picture at this program in year 2, how incredible is it to secure that double bye and potentially be in position to play some postseason softball here?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I think the last couple of days I've had to think about that a little bit more because I've been pretty frustrated. So it's like, okay, put things in perspective. But I think overall, I think it just shows the type of athletes we have here and the work that they've put in. And I know what we're capable of doing and being every single day. It's just getting us that consistent mindset. The thing of it is I don't know that we, there's a physical component of being really, really good, but there is to me, more of a mental component. And so what my message to the team is, I don't want us to have a great year or a great game or a great series. I want us to have greatness. Greatness to me is something that you do every single day. It's not a singular action. It's not a singular event. It's something that who you are. And so that's what we're really looking for as I think about like where this program is and needs to be and stay, is greatness and not great. And so we have a lot of work still to do. And I think it shows that, with just a couple of adjustments here or there, we win some of those ball games, and that's how close we really are. And so those are just good. They're good signs for us to also put in some reality check of like, hey, this is why we're not here, because we're not doing X, Y, and Z. Or this is why we're here is because we're executing X, Y, and Z. So a lot of life lessons being learned this year.
I meant to ask this yesterday, I forgot. You're big on ingesting information and kind of, and figuring all that out. You're not going to see an offense like Florida
Right.
the rest of the season unless you play them again. Like, what do you think your pitchers can learn from the way that offense is able to execute?
Yeah, I think, the competitive side of me, like I'm always going to be like, we can beat them. I think we can, like we did. I thought Lefty on Friday night was really, really good. And honestly, the game yesterday, we were really good, and then it just kind of got out of hand. But I think what Florida does a really good job, and they have some savvy upperclassmen, is they just they take their walks and they put people in position where there's high leverage or high stress pitches. And if you can control that by limiting those free passes. And so I think for me, that's what you really can learn is let's, keep working ahead of the count. Let's keep putting the pressure on them. And, something I always talk to our team about is we should always be on offense, whether we're on defense, whether we're in the batter's box, it doesn't matter, but we should always be in control of the game. And I think there was moments, especially in this series, in which we were not in control of it.
I guess what about Harper and Hill? I mean, they've been struggling now. I know Hill had a couple hits yesterday, so maybe cheek him out of it. But as far as Amari, whatever, hitting in bad luck or just a slump? I mean, what has Jeff said? I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, two cogs working, and that's tough for Florida to have all their cogs.
Yeah, I think Jazz is working through it. I saw some really good upside. She took some walks this weekend. She actually on day 3 had some really good barrels and hit the ball hard. So I was like, okay, Jazz is coming back to us. The thing about Jazz that I really am impressed with is even when things were not going well, you could never tell. Like her defense never struggled, her work ethic, all of those things, and that's what you look for at a veteran, just because it is part of the game, right? You're going to go through these slumps. I think Amari, I think she just had a bad weekend, and that's what I told her. I'm like, let's just throw it out that it was a bad weekend. I think a couple pitches got into her head of what was being called, and so I think that kind of got into her head, and then she kind of let that spiral. And I'm like, Amari, you can't do that over one pitch or two pitches. And the thing that we forget sometimes is she's a sophomore. She's played in every game, but sometimes, we have sophomore moments. And so those are my conversations with her of like, hey, let's learn from this, let's regroup. But you've been a really, really good hitter for so long. That's who you are. That's not who you are, right? Like this weekend isn't who you are. Let's go back to being who Amari Harper is.